Hello, Vaughn 2020 here with 2020 MC Gaming, and today we're going to be working on a rather large build in the desert and providing a little bit of a tour of the base that we are constructing. Now this base is on the FrilCraft server. It's Frilia's Patreon server. Highly recommended. A lot of really great builders here. We really like it. And as you can see, mobs are spawning. Now just remember, if you've found yourself a desert and you've done a reasonable job of clearing the landscape out a little bit, take down some of the cactuses, you've got a mob farm. Minimal parts required. They'll spawn for you all night long. Just don't put out too many torches and don't get too far away from your base. So this is one of the first builds I've ever done using these materials. Usually, I'm working a little bit more with stone and I'm mixing the wood in, but these new stripped logs, really liking them. And this particular build, as you can see with the columns over here, we're working with more of the desert tones. And okay, they're all over the place over here. So let's just clear out a couple of these guys, and we'll get back to the build. So spiders aren't going to be too much of a problem, but I don't like them. So this particular build, I was working on a couple of ideas in creative mode, and I'm trying not to build the whole thing on in my creative world. I just wanted to be able to bring a little bit of improvisation to the whole thing. Oh, man, they're everywhere. I need to light up these insides of these buildings on the side over here. They, the zombies I can handle, the skellies I can handle, the creepers. Now that's just reckless. So this is going to be the front entrance, and I'm going to be doing for the next couple of minutes is trying to piece this thing together. Maybe I should handle that creeper. Nah, we'll get him later. So over the course of this video, we're going to try to finish these large buildings to the left and right of the front gate, finish the front gate, and lay out a little bit of a floor plan, get a little bit of an idea about how this thing's going to come together. Now, as you can see in the background here, I got a little bit of the footprint worked out, but only for the first half of the building. We're going to continue working a theme and trying to leave it open enough to where we can actually still improvise with the build, which is kind of my favorite part when it works. Usually it doesn't the first time. You gotta kind of run your way through it a couple of times, and a little bit of guesswork. But so these front steps here, they're an example. I only tore them down 5 times. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna climb back up here and start working on these, working on this gate some more, and then I'll be right back. We'll take a look at it from a couple of blocks away and see what we've got. Now, when we first got on this server, we really hadn't put together the channel yet, so there's a lot of this base that we never got an opportunity to record, but hopefully we'll have an opportunity to go through some of the buildings that we've done and talk a little bit about it. But when we first got here, we had the idea, like we've done on some of our other projects, of starting a trading hall. It's one of our favorite parts of the game is breeding the villagers and sorting out the best librarians, the best armorers, and the best toolsmiths, so that you always have an opportunity to hit the garden, trade the vegetables for the emeralds, take the emeralds to the librarians and the toolsmith, and you can really put together a great set of gear in just a couple of minutes with a good carrot or potato farm, or better yet, a carrot farm, potato farm, and pumpkins and melons, sugar cane, so you can make paper. It really comes together nicely. So that was our idea. So we found this village that was right here on the edge of the desert where it meets the ocean, and we just we had our beds on the beach. We had the villagers breeding, and we just fenced them in. Did the free range breeder so that they could just walk around freely, and set up some doors so that, of course, they would just no population limit really. They'll just go all day long, and you turn it off every now and again. Let them sift through them and figure out where your best deals are, where your best books are, and get rid of the ones that aren't going to be any use to you, or reallocate them to the iron farm. And in doing this, you can put the ones that aren't very good trades to use in keeping your iron farm going. But that was our idea for this server. We wanted to put together a trading hall, and we figured, why not make it public? Anybody on the server can come and use it at any time, and we could even trade up for veggies and stuff if people needed them, and that would allow us to really give something back to the community, which we kind of enjoyed. So we started off with the village breeder, and then we immediately started working on a public trading hall, and then of course we had to make the garden so that we could keep the trades going on. And it was really a lot of fun, and not only that, but it helped to introduce us to the other players on this server, which was also quite nice too. Got a lot of really good people, great builders, and basically we have a lot of fun together. It's pretty nice. So let's this front gate's coming together pretty good. We're probably just going to go ahead and jump down in a second here and see what it looks like from the ground, and just strip these logs off real quick. Okay, so we've finally made it to the top. The gate is coming together quite nicely. So what we're going to do now is just let's just hop down and see what it looks like from off to the side. Yeah, okay, that is exactly what we were looking for. So we're going to mirror this shape on the inside of the build to create a nice little curved archway as you walk into the main building. So with that done, let's see what's next on the list. Maybe work on these towers to the left and right of the main gate, or perhaps start working on the floors. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to get a little bit of a look at the base from the sky. There's Trading Hall, and a little bit of our base. And there's the iron farm. So we'll come to the ground here. We got some gardens to the left inside those buildings with the villager, and we got the pumpkin banners to the right there. That's our main base with our inventory room. And see, this is the view we would have of the build as we come around the corner of that building. Of course, there's a lot of landscaping to be done. The sugar cane's got to come down, but as we approach, I think this is probably pretty good distance from the main base, and I think it's gonna come together quite nicely. So let's see. Let's figure out what we can do next. Okay, here we are. We're back, and we've done a little bit more work to the, well, it's supposed to be a tower, but it's rather large for a tower. I mean, the footprint of this building is enormous, but this large building to the left of the front gate, we've done a lot of work to that. So now we've got to put some fence gates in the windows to round them out. I'm considering... sometimes fence gates, they look really great. They bring a different level of detail to the outside of a building. But since you can see through them into the inside of the building, sometimes the lighting is a little bit distracting. It's nice to maybe have something behind them. I was thinking about maybe lining the insides of the windows with something to close the view from the outside. And these interior walls are probably going to be about 2-3 blocks thick, so that the interior can be decorated appropriately. But let's take a look from the outside and see what we've come up with. Yeah, there we go. So we got stripped dark oak logs for a little bit of a band going around the building to tie the columns into the main facade. and of course we wanted it a couple of blocks up off the ground to make those footers look enormous and really satisfying in their size and shape. So now we just need to repeat this with the right side, and that's gonna take a couple of hours. So we'll be back in a few minutes with that. While we've been working on this, the other half of our team, Wa 2020, has been trying to sort out a little bit of a item system. She's built a sorter in the main utility hall. I guess that's what we're calling it. And the sorter system is pretty nice. It's a multi-item system, so you have multiple items per chest. It absolutely brilliant design by Nembon. We'll throw the link to his video down in the description. So the really nice thing about the sorting system and the farms being as close as they are on this particular base is we can tie them all together. Whoops. Tie them all together with water streams and have them all funneling into the main storage center, so that all of the items from all of our farms are dropping into that item sorter from everywhere they are on the base. So she's actually posted a couple of screenshots to our Twitter account, where and you'll find the link to that in the description also, where you can see a screenshot of our base and laid out like map style that she took from in the air, and she's drawn the channels down the pathways between the buildings where the water channels are going to go, that are going to conduct all the proceeds from our farms to our utility room, our equipment room. So here we go. We're going to make our way around this this column, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky because it's going to be slow going, one block at a time. And the design is maybe a little bit fussy. We've got 3 stories to go before we get to the top, so it's gonna take a couple of game days probably, or a couple of days of gaming. So we're gonna go ahead and make our way around and add a couple of details, and we'll be right back. Okay, here we're throwing up the upside down staircase bits. They're going to kind of form the heads of the columns, and they wrap around pillars that I've never done anything like this before. Like I said earlier, I've never really used desert textures before, but I opted for sand as the base for the columns, or for the columns themselves. Not structurally sound in any realistic sense, but they have this texture to them that none of the other blocks seem to have. That seemed to work okay for them, and it tied in nicely in terms of color and texture. So I decided to go ahead and go in that direction. But I don't know. I reserve the right to change those columns at any time. I thought about terracotta a couple times, but the lack of texture. They're very, very smooth, and they work great for certain things, but maybe not for these columns. But the sun's going down. I'm counting on someone to go to sleep for me. We've got a single player sleep mod on here, so that we can hit the hay, or someone can hit the hay for us. All right, so let's see if we can finish this up and pop back in a few minutes. Okay, here we are. We've just about finished the headers of the columns. We had to come down for a little bit more, some more materials, corners, staircase blocks in particular. And so what we're going to do is get a couple more of them to finish this off, and there we go, looking pretty good. Got the headers done, got the band done. Now we got to put the walls in, a couple more details, and we'll be done. But unfortunately, that is all the time we've got for today, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and say goodbye for today. So make sure to like and subscribe. Check out our Twitter account. Check out FrilCraft's account. Tell us what you think. And make sure to leave a comment and a thumbs up. Thanks very much.